As I said in our predecessor adventure with Visions of Atlantis' sequel to Pirates, the beautiful album of the last year, one of my favorite experiences that we got to take together. But Pirates 2, Armada, as it's called, or again, the sophomore sequel, there is an evident relatability that comes through beautifully with Visions of Atlantis. Now, a concept superficially, yes, right? The whole pirate chic is just beautiful and well told, not only in narrative, visualization, but even in score energy. It feels like a pirate score from any Pirates type film that you've seen, any mainstream production. It's just readily infused into the number with beautiful intricacy and expertise. Pirates 1 was an experience that we took together within my earliest days of a Visions of Atlantis entrance. And again, as I always acknowledge with this group, thank you to every one of you that credited them in the comment section as a recommendation. It was deserved, obviously, and I'm quite honored that I decided to take the adventure as soon as I did. Going in with a selection of pieces from the deep and the dark on, and with the promise from me that Pirates, the full chapter, in fact, of its sequel, Pirates 2, it will not be the last adventure we take with this group. I have already, in fact, decided to dig deeper, and we're going to be taking steps imminently soon, maybe even in the waiting stages, if I have time, before more numbers come up. Because presently, we only have these first two singles, with first Armada, and now Monsters. If you have not yet welcomed the graces of Visions of Atlantis for yourself, of European metal origin, which is always great, and of a symphonic, melodic, and power metal fusion style voice, you are really going to like them. But again, if you like catharsis in music, and by the way, before I go further, whatever vantage point you have, longtime fan, first-time listener developing like me, I hope you feel like you have a place here with any artist I recognize, because again, music is best enjoyed in a collaborative respect, I find, and especially on Fresh Witness, because I have not yet humored Monsters, other than a little bit of the Instagram sample that came in. So I think it's the chorus section, and it sounds great. But in terms of the full realization, I've not welcomed that yet. We're going to do it together, and I'm looking forward to this. Because again, I speak of Pirates in a variety of respects to different layers of that album. Whether it be, again, Pirates 1. All 12 numbers we welcomed together on a first-time listen, and that was an adventure of the last year I can't forget about. Alongside some other particular artists, especially on the conceptual grounds, but Visions of Atlantis stands out. And if you've not yet heard the album for yourself, I highly recommend it. You will see why after you experience Pirates. Maybe alongside me or for yourself. I'll leave that determination up to you. But the relatability veiled behind the concept. Again, you notice the pirate energy and chic first and foremost, and you just welcome that ambiance. But in sum, if I could define it best this way, conquering your shadows, or the ghosts at sea, whatever that looks like, kind of play into the mythology, beautifully encoded into the lyrics of relatable adventures and translation, that Monsters is going to speak well to. And Armada kind of evidenced this as well, but for me, at least with destinations on where this song could go in potential intention, molding, or practicality on subjective application, which music readily allows for. Again, it's one of the best art forms out there to enjoy on an individual basis, especially when you're in a season of need and you need that cathartic connection. We all long for that. We're social creatures, and we need that sense of fellowship, whether it be with other human beings, ideally, or when those opportunities are non-existent, maybe not possible, or tampered with. Just in sum, I'm trying to keep this simple and not personalize it too much. But, because I can go on tangents and long dissertations about relatability in music. Oh, I could speak, yeah. Anyway, tampering of neutral access to connection, let's say. Music is a ready aid if you need a substitute, and it's a welcome one for so many artists in the metal and rock sphere. It's why I pushed into it immediately. Visions of Atlantis of Monsters, at least from what I can see of it, well suited already for that destination. Now, we're going to pair that to score and visuals, which I'm sure the visualizer will be fun for this. The last one was. I don't know how far it'll go, because the last one definitely gives me, speaking of the earlier album, Melancholy Angel vibes. And that one was first and foremost conceptual. Monsters. Let's see. Our 7th pirate adventure, Visions of Atlantis on visual grounds. And that's always fun. Let's add in that picture, though, paired with, I'm sure, a brilliant score and beautiful vocal delivery on part of Meek and Clementine. They sound excellent together. both advanced in their own rights. Clementine of, I believe, a French accent, and Meek, Italian. Just gorgeous. Again, the European metal library, you cannot go wrong. And Visions of Atlantis, certainly not. Monsters, though. Let's witness the score together. That fluttering tease we are introduced to at the beginning of a number, and the quick switch of the tone. Melancholy Angel-esque. We're amping up the symphonic quality of this one. The strings enhancement, just gorgeous. This is the bit I've heard. My journey in a nutshell. It's always a good feeling when you're able to conquer your monsters. I'm sort of at the in recovery end that this just speaks to well. I love a note organization for this one. Those step patterns are just beautiful. That natural foreboding essence to this song. It's impossible to not get just swept by the score. That's a beautiful switch on the tail of that note. Did they amplify the crossover quality on the volume? I think there's an enhancement on that. It's strict if so, but it could have been the same as the first chorus. I'm not sure. It's just really interesting to me. The fire's a nice touch. You know, most of us metal fans love a good pyrotechnic show. Isolating the vocals too on the tail is a really good choice for how we close out the song. It sums up well. That is an experience we will remember, I'm sure, all of us. I'll let the credits roll. I wonder if this is sort of like a tease. Maybe in how it will start the album. Or maybe this is part of a song. I have yet to hear it again in audio form apart from the visual component. Maybe it's grafted in there. But it almost feels like it could be kind of an album opener. You know, I get, if you know the American metal scene and stuff within the alternative sphere, I've credited them before as a particular favorite. And one that we'll be getting back to soon, perhaps in review, and that new number, Brave New World. I'm looking forward to it. Starset. The way that they introduce their albums is similar to Visions of Atlantis, not from a pirate respect. A little more modern, futuristic, but a bit dystopian. I really love that group. But if you entertain any of their albums, of the 4 that are available so far, Transmissions, Vessels, Divisions, or Horizons, you get these really clever openers. I'm trying to remember all the names. First Light, I think, The Order, A Brief History of the Future, and I forget the one on Horizons. Track 1, let's keep it simple, of each album. You get these fanfares that walk you into the sophomore song, just taking you on an experience. And every piece from Stars that I've loved, I cannot recommend them enough personally. On conceptual lines, I love a lot of the metal voices of today, especially when you see a hybrid between individual perspective of song and band destination, in this case, Pirates, and then a complement where you can take those narratives, keeping them true to the fantasy essence, but then extracting them to a more practical means. And how could you not with Monsters? It's impossible to do, especially when you consider that chorus. And again, if you're looking for relatability of emotion within music, if you're in a similar path of life where you're dealing with your own monsters, whatever those look like, figurative and one's sea-bound, or, in your daily life, all night and day you watch the bay in solitude before they break. I see you shake your certitudes. Oh, when all that you hear and all that you fear is the voice inside your head. It's gorgeous. And by the way, the mirror imagery, I've spoken to that before. I've particular favorite expression of mine in the composition sphere of what I first graduated in. Now, having just achieved my second degree in psychology, finally, onto a master's now. But my first bachelor's was in general writing, or an English major, English writing. So for me, writing's always been a very creative outlet, and poetry and other stuff within the creative nonfiction sphere. I'm thinking of like memoirs for the most part. Particular favorite go-to artistic formats for me within the writing sphere. And I play around a lot because I, in particular, love the theme of duality, or you could say, in stages of life and dealing with your monsters, the past tribulation to present recovery, or future recovery, whatever it may be. The image of the mirror, especially when it's paired to self in reflection, whether put together or cracked, and we see both fleshed out here. It's small, but I love it. Just the personal connections. It's a great way to imagine in a song that can be seen from a therapeutic lens. I love when conceptual albums do this. I did preview the lyrics well in advance of this, so I knew going in that there is this real world-grounded edge to Monsters that is beautifully exercised by not only a competent visualizer with fire, I love that, beautiful color tones, by the way, the contrast of orange and blue, quite welcoming, the costumes, the staging, everything. The staging, really, it just clicks with this album. I can't wait to see what else is in store. Sort of a Melancholy Angel-esque song. It just comes across that way to me on key choice, organization, a more aggressive side to it. Very much a foreboding, kind of troublesome one. It fits the nature of a Monsters piece, but it's just still so beautifully elegant with the symphonic extreme. Strings enhancement too. Love that. Absolutely love that. Organized well. But just, again, it's the narrative that just drives for me. Fight the monsters inside you, rulers of your night and day. Oh, absolutely. It's those ones you can't get out of your head. The evil that comes through. Find the will to live again. Again, this is my recovery journey in a nutshell. I've mentioned before, just different, as I'm sure we can all relate to, different monsters and whatever those look like in our pasts and our presences, or present times, maybe. I do come from an abuse history. It was something that I dealt with for a number of years, for specifically, just to make sure we're all clear and there's not murmurs flying about, emotional, psychological, verbal, and spiritual means. It's been, for years that occurred without any intervention, or even me, being aware that I was in reality victimized by that. There was not an assurance by a clear definition on how to no one explained or defined what abuse was. And if you've ever been in that situation, there's a natural conditioning process that takes shape in your mind that reorients your reality. And so you believe what's happening to you is just natural, or in some respects, let's say for the spiritual abuse example, righteous, which it's not. You want to talk about perversion of life and monsters that you just loathe after you find out what they are. They're monsters that appear like angels. Melancholy angels in a sense, but, well, I'd say more disastrous angels. Anyway, angels, well, they're demons. Anyway, inner, or depending on the situation, they can definitely resemble the presences of outer. Anywho, again, I won't personalize. I'll keep this general. I'm just giving you maybe a brief feel because, I can go on tangents and elaborate all day, especially on this. This song perfectly embodies a recovery journey for me of what's been, especially for the last 5, near 6 years. I've looked to, and because everybody finds different devices to best heal their experiences, whether that's through personalized connection. That always helps when you find people that you can trust that will help you. And that, for some of us, is hard to come by. I speak from experience. Anyway, for years of it, if it's personal connections, hobbies, interests, art, certainly, or faith even, I'm sure it's not that hard to guess because I mentioned spiritual abuse, and I've never been, shy about admitting my faith orientation of the way I was raised from birth to where I'm at now, 26 years later, of a Christian mindset. And that always helps. I don't want to undercut in any way. But in terms of practical devices, I find music to be one of the best forms of this. In terms of a cathartic connection, especially when you don't have other devices that we would normally gravitate to or we'd hope are available, like people, or maybe other resources. Music is such a beautiful aid to heal you. Or it has a potentiality. It's a really powerful art form. And a song like Monsters, I can immediately see reaching to the hearts of so many people who need it, who are in that position of maybe dealing with or wrestling with their monsters, or sort of at that period where they've learned to overcome them, or at least have found the accessibility, the accessibility to get to that point in life. And that is hard. It depends on your situation, depends on the veracity of what the monsters look like and how they're realized. But it's beautiful when you reach that point of personal rehabilitation where you are much more empowered and recovered as near as can be. And that's still maybe a lifelong journey for a lot of us. Pieces like this will repeat in my memory. And certainly on replays in the physical. I cannot wait to humor this again. And it's another beautiful entrance to, I'm sure, a wonderful album. And score-wise, again, as I said, it's just brilliant. That foreboding, kind of dreary nature to it. Intentional. Key, pitch, emphasis, strength, strings, prominence on this one. Strings, really. But the design of the numbers, especially on the verse structures, and the choruses are great, but the verses really get me. There's a personality to this number that just feels like an enhancement of the first album, which is still great, but I really like what I'm hearing on Pirates 2 so far. I knew I would, and I'm sure the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers that we have yet to go in terms of a full album survey, which we will be taking at some later date, I believe in July. I can't wait for that. I'm sure they'll follow suit. I can't wait to hear more. This album's sounding really good already, and I love seeing the relatability, the evidenced relatability, and the unapologetic rawness. I love catharsis in music, and Visions of Atlantis has created something very special. For not just my own interest, but for us. In our enjoyment of music together, again, a beautiful art form, and among my favorites, Pirates still stands out nicely. Visions of Atlantis in general, of course. Pirates 2 is going to be a beautiful successor. I cannot wait to hear more, and I hope the same is true for you. But again, music is a subjective art first and foremost. I'll leave it to your determination and even post on your thoughts to tell us what you think, if you wish to, and your vantage point. Longtime fan, first emerging listener, is this your first consultation to a VOA work? What do you think? I think we're in for something special. I think Monsters in narrative, vocal performance, which, again, this is just beautiful as a piece. Clementine and Meek always impress, as the European Metal Library does. But in every respect to Visions of Atlantis, we are in for something special. 2 numbers. that have welcomed us into the graces of Pirates 2, and I cannot wait to hear more. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.